I make hand-sewn embroidery, and a lot of my subjects are cats, like you can see right there.
That's some of your work?
That's some of my work, yes, Your Honor. And so I sell online, but I also go to farmers markets and festivals, and that's actually where I met Rebecca. She was just at a farmers market, and she happened upon my artwork, and we bonded over our love of cats.
So you knew Miss Sharp before this day?
Yes, Your Honor. We've known each other for 1 year.
And Miss Sharp, you all were friends before this happened, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about how someone gets a big cat reserve.
I grew up in Africa. I grew up with elephant and giraffe. Spent a lot of time outdoors. My dad was an archaeologist, and I love cats. Always had animals. But in Africa, we went to the wild animal sanctuary, and that's when I really fell in love with big cats. And I knew in my life I wanted to do something with animals to help them.
Now that looks like a house cat. I mean, you're not at your reserve. It's not house cats, right?
No, our reserve is huge. I've had it for about 6 years now. Oh, so we have baby tigers. This is Monique.
Like this? And that's a baby tiger.
That's a baby tiger. So we also have a lynx, which is a little bit smaller of the big cats.
Okay.
Kind of bigger than your average house cat, but pretty formidable. This is Jackie. She's our black leopard.
This is the black leopard. Now, she looks pretty calm, right? I mean, she's bigger than a house cat, but kind of looks like a house cat on steroids, right? So you have all these cats in the reserve. They're in cages?
No.
What are they in?
They are in an enclosure, so there are fences and boundaries, but they have their own habitat.
Miss Stafford, you end up at this big cat reserve. How'd you get there?
She invited me for a private tour.
So you had to be pretty excited about that.
I was really excited, yes.
So what happened?
So Rebecca really was being a friend and was trying to calm me down and telling me how gentle and sweet these cats are.
Okay.
And I was right by her side. She walked me right up to the enclosure, and then she turned her back. She went away, and she did a good job of easing my nerves. So I went to pet Jackie because she kept saying how sweet she was. So I went to rub her back, and then next thing I know, these claws, these 4 big leopard claws are at my face, and my face is gashed, blood dripping everywhere there. It was so much blood, Your Honor. And then next thing I knew, before I could even think, my hand, she bit my ring finger, Your Honor. And as you can see, it's gone. I have a partially amputated ring finger, and I lost my engagement ring. I had just gotten a few weeks prior. I was newly engaged, and it's gone.
Ms. Sharp, you remember this day, obviously, right? Tell me how you remember it happening.
I invited Miss Courtney to come, and I thought that this could really help with her artwork. And I invited her on a private tour because I thought she would have a better chance of seeing the animals, not interacting with them, but just seeing them and appreciating their size. So this could maybe help out her artwork. And I turned my back to attend to one of the other animals, and I just hear screaming, turn around, and this is one of the most horrific things I've ever encountered. And Courtney is bleeding. I run to her attention. I took my own shirt and I
This was a
put it
bad
over.
scene.
It was bad. I called 911. I got her to immediate medical attention.
Did this surprise you that Jackie would do such a thing? Jackie the leopard?
Jackie has never demonstrated any form of aggression, but Jackie is a wild animal, and when her space has been encroached, she's gonna communicate, and she did.
Well, if you invite her to the park, what did you expect that she was going to do with Jackie?
I thought that she would see Jackie and feel her presence, but not touch.
Why didn't you just look and not try to touch?
Your Honor, she brought me right up to the enclosure. As she said, there are no cages. So it just gives this inviting feeling like these are animals that you can interact with. And again, she was calming me. She said that Jackie was so sweet. She mischaracterized Jackie.
I never
and
told
said that
you
she
it
was
was
so
safe
sweet.
to-
Excuse me, I'm talking. She gave me no reason to believe that there was any...
Had you ever been that close to a leopard before?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is a first-time experience. If she says Jackie's sweet, you think Jackie's sweet?
Exactly.
That's a leopard.
I mean, Miss Sharp, she does look sweet, right?
Of course, but, you know, a grandma can tell her kid that she's got sweet cheeks, sweet enough to eat, but it's a figure of speech. You don't eat the kid's cheeks.
When you own a reserve that has these dangerous animals, then you don't rely on figure of speech. You say explicitly what you can and cannot do, and you did not do that.
Well, you know, y'all talk like friends today, but you got to talk to me today. Y'all can be friends after this, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Jackie is a wild animal, right?
Right, not a...
You knew that, true?
True.
Jackie is sweet and beautiful and formidable, but she is not someone you would snuggle with, and I don't know how Miss Courtney thought she's going to be all lovey-dovey, sing kumbaya, and be best friends with a kitty cat. This is a wild animal.
How would she know not to pet it if the animal was close enough to touch it?
There is a boundary. We have a fence line. Everybody knows you don't cross the yellow line on the street. I don't know if she needs somebody in the car with her just to remind her not to cross the yellow line.
I don't appreciate that because that's something that's every day. This is not an everyday situation.
That's right.
So it was her responsibility as the owner to really talk me through what I can and can't do. She's the one who walked me up to the enclosure. So if I shouldn't have been in that area, she should have had me step back. And you know, Your Honor, I lost my finger because of this. I lost my finger because of you.
You waited until my back was turned, just like a little kid who would want to take a cookie
did you
from
tell
the
her to
cookie
wait?
jar.
Did you tell her, look,
She
hold
never
on for a minute?
asked.
I mean, you could not pay me enough to get close to one of those big cats. I've seen enough videos of stupid people getting close to those animals, and it is always a bad idea. Put that a little bit sooner. Thank you.
She never asked you.
She never asked. I know my cat. And Jackie, I would say, no, do not touch.
I see that you are asking this court to award you $100,000 for future medicals, and you have submitted $100,000 in past medicals.
Yes.
You got a big financial burden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because, you know, in these cases, it's an emotional burden, a financial burden, a lifelong bag of sand on your back when you have injuries like this.
And Your Honor, a bride has so many expenses to begin with. I was already budgeting
These
for
are
this big
wild.
wedding, so I just definitely did
These
not
are
expect
wild
these expenses.
cats, and I feel terrible that you lost your finger and that you've had to undergo these surgeries and this pain. I can't imagine what you've been through, but these are wild animals. You don't need to be told not to stick your hand in an electric socket. These are things you should know as a grown adult. A wild cat, you just know, is a wild animal, and you do everything in your power to stay away from them. Who would stick their hand into the presence of an animal knowingly? What did you think would happen?
Your Honor,
Why did you want to touch?
I wasn't out in the wild. I'm at this sanctuary where these animals
With
have
a
been
fence.
groomed and trained. So I didn't know.
Ladies, I know very little about house cats and even less about wild cats. This court has consulted an animal behaviorist named Greg Smith Aldridge. We're going to bring him in so he can tell us about these wild cats. Sheriff Matt, will you get Mr. Smith Aldridge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't touch, Courtney.
Mr. Smith Aldridge, what kind of cat is this?
This is a Canadian lynx. This is Adam.
They brought an entire lynx into the courtroom? Excuse me?
He's a 5-year-old male, and this is the biggest he will get. He's about 25 pounds.
Well, how do wild cats behave around people?
These guys will never be domesticated. They're always a wild cat, no matter how long they spend in captivity.
What makes a wild cat like this aggressive or agitating?
There are so many factors. I mean, any amount of teasing or goading, and it could be something that the person doesn't even really realize that they're doing. It could be something that set these guys off.
But is there a safe way for the average person to interact with a wild cat like this?
The average person? No, not without supervision by professionals. I mean, if you're running a sanctuary and this is something that you do on a daily basis, then I would consider you a professional. But somebody who's just an average stepping up to interact with an animal that doesn't know anything, that's not safe.
Well, with the black leopard, are there any warning signs that Miss Stafford would see and notice and heed to?
Cats have a lot of warning signs. Their eyes flash green, their ears go back, their tail would thump rapidly. These are all, like, we call a big cat an honest animal for that reason. They are going to display before they strike.
Miss Stafford, did you see any of this when this black leopard attacked you?
Your Honor, I only had time to reach my hand out and I was already being attacked. It wasn't this nice progression of these warning signs that I could have read.
One of the things that you did was you got into her space, and that was Jackie's territory.
But you didn't prevent me
Adam
from
looks
being
like
able
he's
to go
getting a little
into space.
uncomfortable. So, Mr. Smith Aldridge and Miss Burns, thank you so much. You all can take Adam back into the room.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Sheriff, Adam's looking at you like y'all know each other.
No, I don't know him.
Safety never takes a holiday. Is your place safe even in light of this?
It is 100% safe, and if people follow certain guidelines, then I thought that Courtney understood not to touch a wild animal, specifically when she'd never even been around before. And
Your
a
Honor,
wild
she's
animal.
not telling the full truth.
Well, tell me about
I
it.
happen to be the third incident in the past 5 years. One of the incidents, I actually provided a video today, and this actually happened to 2 of her workers.
Well, let's take a look at it.
He was swinging that cheetah around like you swing around your niece or nephew by the arms in the backyard.
Now, Miss Sharp, this is at your Big Cat Reserve, right?
Right.
You call that safe?
Well, our volunteers handled themselves perfectly. And yes, they did incur some scratches from this, but they've come back. They understand the risk that they assume by taking on this passion in life.
So, for the record, There is a fence between Miss Stafford and this
Yes,
black leopard.
a definitive fence, and she crossed it.
I did, Your Honor, but that was after she coached me through, saying how sweet this animal was.
Ahead of this visit, I informed Miss Courtney to go look at my website. It says explicit instructions of do not touch. Look at the animals. Keep
I mean,
a
that
safe
looks like
distance.
safety to me. Didn't you know you're not supposed to touch the animal?
Your Honor, she did tell me to look at the website, but again, this was not a normal visit. She invited me to be her guest, and so I admit I did not look
I
at the
looked
website
at your
because
website.
I was an invited guest, and
So
I
you
wanted
didn't look
to
at the
visit my
website?
guest. Not prior to the event, no.
So, Ms. Sharp, if the patron doesn't look at the website, how will they know to not touch, keep safe distance, those kind of things?
Miss Courtney showed no signs that she had not reviewed the website. She was keeping her hands to herself. She wasn't making eye contact.
You can't assume that I didn't that I
I
looked
can't
at the
assume
website.
that you would stick your hand in the tiger's
Right, so you
pen.
should have prepared me. You should have prepared me. You should have walked me through.
I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision.
So the decision's coming up. What do you guys think is going to happen? Do you think he's going to rule in favor of the plaintiff or the defendant? I'm not really sure, but I guess we'll find out.
Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff, you, Miss Stafford, have to prove three things. You've got to prove that Miss Sharp was wrong and that her wrong caused your injuries. Here, you've put up evidence that you went to her big cat reserve, you thought it was safe because she assured you that the cats were calm, and you thought they were pettable. You reached in through the fence, and this black leopard tore your finger off and scarred your face forever. You have put up evidence, Miss Sharp, that these are wild animals. She should have gone to your website and looked at do not touch, keep a safe distance, don't treat these as house cats. But you did not warn her at the scene. Here, the evidence indicates that both parties have participated in the outcome. The legal principle that applies is comparative fault. Here, I find that both of you were at fault, but not equally at fault. With a wild animal, you've got an extra burden to make sure that people are safe, but this was not all your fault. Based on the evidence, I find that you are 51% responsible, and you, Ms. Stafford, are 49% responsible. I find in your favor for 51% of what you are seeking, which is $178,500. I find in your favor and against the defendant. That is my final award, and this matter is adjourned.
I lost my finger because of you.
I looked for it, couldn't find it.
I actually think I agree with this judgment because, you know, the owner of the reserve has the responsibility to make sure that that everyone that comes to visit is safe and taken care of, and she can't be negligent in any way. There's a high standard for that in the law, so I'm not surprised by that. And also, the plaintiff, she had it's more common sense. It's like, of course you don't cross a boundary or anything like that. It doesn't matter if she didn't know, and she also admitted that she didn't look at the website, so I can see how this was a split decision. What do you guys think about the judgment? Do you think it was too much, too little, or just right? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know. Love ya.